Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 through 4 says this: He, Jesus, had come down from the mountain. Great multitudes followed him, and behold, a leper came and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Then Jesus put his hands out and touched him, saying, I am willing, be clean. Immediately the leprosy was cleansed. One of the most beautiful attributes of Jesus are his hands. This text comes right after Jesus preached the most famous sermon ever preached, the Sermon on the Mount. It was absolutely revolutionary. It was challenging. It was deep. It was beautiful. Jesus is on the mountaintop with his 12 disciples and is saying, you've heard it said, but I say to you. And it's really fascinating to think about this sermon for the following reason. Have you ever thought about who is it in the book of Exodus that is inaccessibly on top of the mountain? Or who is it in the book of Exodus that speaks from the mountain? Or who is it in the book of Exodus who first gives the law from the mountain? Now, these questions might be lost on you and I, and we may not know the answers, but it was not lost on Jesus' first century Jewish audience. And the answer to those questions is God. God is the one that speaks from the mountain. So if Jesus is conducting himself that way and speaking that way, who is Jesus? Well, the answer is, Jesus here is proclaiming his true divine identity. He is the great I am, the I am that spoke from the mountain. And here's what's so fascinating about our text. Jesus, God in flesh, rather than staying on the mountain, comes down from the mountain, the inaccessible now becoming accessible. He became so accessible that even an outcast like a leper was able to reach out to him. Now picture this leper in your mind for a second. Within his Jewish culture, within that sort of context, who was he? He was somebody, no doubt, he was somebody of shame, somebody that was publicly ridiculed, somebody that was unwelcomed, somebody that was unloved and untouched. Can you imagine how long this leper has gone without somebody touching him? I remember hearing tell of a story of a young lady who was a habitual cutter. And when she was asked, why is it that you cut? She simply responded, medics are the only ones who will touch me. We need touch. So this text is extraordinarily relevant to our culture and our day, which is experiencing an epidemic of loneliness. This leper who must have only seen people from afar for years now gets so close to God through Jesus that he knows how warm God's hands are. God is willing to be that accessible to you and to me. And what is so beautiful about our text is not so much that Jesus possesses the power to cleanse, but rather his willingness to get involved in the messiness of our lives. That the leper His needs did not intimidate or repulse Jesus. Rather, notice what the text says. It records that Jesus' hands were already touching him before he verbalizes his response to the leper. What we see here is the eagerness of Jesus. Our needs don't repulse him. They attract him. They attract Jesus' eager, loving hands to come close and cleanse. The beautiful hands of Jesus, accessible, willing to touch, willing to be involved, willing to cleanse because of his great love for us.